Howdy, everybody, and once again, coming to you from somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Look at that, man. Partly cloudy day. It's nice outside. Well, relatively speaking, I suppose. Anyways, man, we're going to work today. Look right behind me. You can see something going on there. Yeah, we're building a base. A base for what? Didn't look like a speaker to me. No, we're not building base. We're building a base. And it's going to be for another one of our deer blinds. Or hunting blinds. I can imagine you could hunt more than just deer from it. So I guess those are called a hunting blind. And I got stuff all over it because I had to get everything off my sawhorses. Anyways, here's our blind y'all might remember from last year if y'all were around. And if not, well, I made this one last year. And the man's ready to take them to the property that they will live so that he can use them. Because it's almost deer season. I think bow season opened up pretty soon. Today is September 30th. Happy birthday to me, I guess, if anybody's interested in that. And, well, tomorrow is October. Isn't it funny how fast time just flies? So anyways, this is going to be our base. And, yeah, it's just 2x4 construction because it's going to sit on top of another base. It's going to be made from steel. And I think this will probably be about 4 to 6 feet high. So you'll have to climb a ladder to get in it. But then you'll have great vision across the area that you're going to be hunting in. Elevated's always better. So we've already got all of our, well, as you see, man, we're ready to go. I just got to start nailing this thing in. Got all of our holes drilled already, everywhere. Drill your holes first. It takes another minute or so, but it's going to save you in the long run. I'll demonstrate that here very shortly. We went on 2-foot centers, and that's just for the base because we're using a 3/4 inch plywood here. And it's really, really strong, man. After you get all this nailed down or screwed down real well, it ain't never going to move again. I might even glue it, pending. But for the most part, man, if you put enough screws in them, they'll hold real good, and you'll never have anything else to worry about ever again in its life. So I try and do things to a home spec, as I don't know any other way. But don't cheat on screws or any of that stuff, because if your product falls apart before it gets to be used, then that would be embarrassing. This one that's over here next to us has withstood some pretty nice storms. It ain't lost anything. Still there. Still looks good. It's kind of a testament to things. I was with a group of guys, and we built we connected 2 piers in the Gulf of Mexico together. They were just old shopping piers. They weren't fishing piers. They had a bunch of stores that just went out and over the water. And so we connected both of them together. Well, not long after that, we had a nice hurricane, and it tore down the 2 older ones. However, ours was still standing out there in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico by itself. So, if you do things right, they will last forever. So, I'm going to put 2 on every corner, and that way we can come back and nail these in after you're done, because this will help secure the whole thing together If you start fighting this one, you're going to push something off, or it's going to get crooked, and then you'll be fighting it a little bit. So just do all 4 of your corners, man. It'll hopefully work out a little better. As you see, I'm doing this on a sheet of plywood. It's already going to be, that's what we're putting on top of this. Do that, it'll help you keep everything square while you're doing it. Still hot out here. I don't know if I've already said that or not. So if you see me sweating and panting here in a second, well, there's a good reason. See, man, this makes it life way easier to have these holes pre-drilled, because you can just put your screw there, and you can manipulate your boards up and down, back and forth, and do it all you got to do to get everything nice and square. And you're not trying to hold a screw and drill it and fumble with everything. No, drill your holes. Pays off in the long run. I had to fight that myself for most of my life. I'm big and tough. I can do it all by myself. That takes too much time. But I was kind of programmed that way. When you frame houses for a living, people expect you to do a lot of work really fast. And a lot of them companies don't care what it looks like. Because you're never going to see it. It gets covered in sheetrock, or they'll come up with the dumbest excuses of all time. Why they don't have to do their job good. I've worked with those guys before. It's challenging. I've worked behind those guys and had to come clean up their messes. I'll be very honest, it's way easier to do it right the first time than it is to come clean up somebody's mess. But it made me good at fixing things. I just come in and fix everything that everybody else does wrong. Because they didn't believe me in the first place. I'm certainly not always right. But I'm not often just wrong. 25 years nailing stuff together, you will learn something. I think at this point it's more like 30 years. That's why my hands don't work so good anymore. Then you also have I'm just now noticing myself do this. A lot of guys argue about keeping your nail heads flush. These gun guys kind of like your primers. You know, you don't want them sticking out, but you don't want them too far in. Well, in this case, let me see if I can kind of explain. It's okay to jam them nails down in there, because what'll happen is that when you get that head buried off in there, this wood will swell back around the head and then kind of prevent it from ever backing out. Because believe it or not, screws will back themselves right out. This is very, very common. It is because something went wrong. There you go, guys. So that wasn't so bad, man. After you get your initial setup, you can cruise right around, boy. You know, all your boards together, everything's nice and square. I can just slide this right off that plywood out there into the drive and throw my piece of plywood right on top of it. And you know, man, you don't want to let your plywood stick out too far, and you can work it while you're putting everything together. And just keep it on the edge here where it's supposed to be, on your edge here where it's supposed to be, and you'll be on your way. And it'll help. Let's see if we can see anything weird about this. You see that may not be a perfectly straight line. However, I don't know if you can see this plywood or not, but it is a perfectly straight line, so you can get these two to match each other here on the bottom, as you see, which would be my top. And as long as you keep everything in line with that piece of plywood, boy, you're going to be square and straight and pretty and happy. So, anyways, I just figured I would here's something to talk about. Since we are doing this, let's talk about tools for a second. I got something kind of cool I'd like to share. I don't know if many people know about this or not. When you talk about doing some real framing, you kind of want real tools. I'm not saying that your skill saw is not a real tool. However, let's take a look at this thing. This is a monster of a skill saw. Look at that. And it says skill saw on there. This is actual skill saw brand. When you think of framing saws, you think of this. This is called a worm drive saw. There's an actual gear. Let's see here. You got big brushes here. Your motor's inside there. You got good sized brushes here. Make that motor spin. Well, that motor spins an actual a worm gear. And somewhere right about here, it hits another one, and then all these gears work together to spin that blade, and you get some good horsepower out of that. Not only that, but because it's gears, look at that. You have to change your oil. And which ain't every day. However, you can change your oil. And if you do, this saw will last you your entire life, and you will be able to pass it down to the next person that wants to pick up a 25-pound saw and use it all day. I'm pretty sure that's what this weighs. If it ain't 25, it's definitely 20. And it's not the most comfortable thing to use. However, when you get it set up nice and you get on your board, this thing ain't going to vibrate all over the place. Very, very smooth. It's not really overly loud. And this is a beast. This is not a left-handed saw, as some people will say, because on most guys' saws, the blade will be on this other side. And so everyone says, that's a left-handed saw. No, it is not, man. If you're a right-handed dude like I am, now you can look, like my eyes are right here, right where y'all are seeing is pretty much what I look at. And you see your blade down there, well, you can see exactly where that line is that you want to cut. You don't have to look over the saw to get in there. It'd be kind of like a left eye dominant dude trying to shoot right-handed with a rifle, and he's got to look over the entire stock to see the, no, that's not how you do it. It's not comfortable, it's not right. So yeah, not a left-hand saw. They are kind of weird, and lots of people just, they never used one, so they don't know any better. And that was me for a long time until I got comfortable using them. Now, this is a bigger one. This is not, most skill saws have a 7-inch blade, or it's a 7 1/4. No, this one is an 8-inch blade. And that comes in handy for cutting 4x4 posts and doing notches on pilings. Kind of like it'd be a cool, probably work fairly good for some log cabin applications. I mean, it's not that big, but you can get this in a 10-inch, and but then it just gets heavier and heavier. So, whatever. But this is a great saw. I've owned this personally now for 20 years, and it was probably 15 years old by the time I had gotten it. Yeah, this is one of them ones. I have replaced this handle. The handle is plastic. It's probably the only plastic part on this. That and this top carry handle too. And but man, this thing's, it's metal, it's heavy, but man, it'll go through anything. And I think it cuts over 2 inches. Maybe no, it's closer. I think it's 2 7/8. This is what this saw goes through. When you finally set your depth, like so. Sorry guys. Let's see if I can do this all one-handed. Well, anyways, yeah, 2 inch, probably 2 3/4 then. I think I can do this. Y'all be able to see. Yeah, that's basically 2 3/4 worth of depth that you can get in one cut. Your regular homeowner saws won't cut through 3 inches, even if you flip the board over. Well, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. I'm sorry, but not 4. And you got to get a sawzall, but this one, I can cut through a 4x4, flip it over, and cut through it again, and it'll be done. If you ever see one of them saws, man, get it. It'll last you forever. So, I think that's pretty much it, man. We'll be turn this into some kind of little series, man, about building this blind, and I'll try and keep y'all along for the deal. Have a great day. Love you. See y'all soon. Bye, y'all.